Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Chloe. I've been reading tarot for around 5 years and I really wanted to start a tarot tube because I was watching a lot of videos from other people and starting to kind of think, oh, I'd love to tell them this or that, or, show this card or show this deck, and started basically having conversations with them in my head. So I thought it's time to start a YouTube channel, and I wanted to kick things off with the really fun tag, the hashtag Tarot Collector by Brant from Moon Baby. I thought that this one would be, a really nice way just to introduce myself and show some of my decks. And the first question in the tag is your most expensive deck. So I don't actually have my most expensive decks. They're on their way to me, or they will be soon, by Bubba Studios, the newest 2 decks, the Fantastic Menagerie and the Mythical Creatures. And they probably are kind of up there, and they'll be my first Bubba Studios decks, so that'll be really interesting to see what they're like when I get them. But as for what I have currently in my collection, the most expensive one is the Golden Rider. And I didn't pay too much for this one, but it is a vintage, out of print deck, or perhaps not vintage, not that old. And as you can see, I got the French edition, which is a bit more affordable than the English one. The colors are beautiful, they're stunning. This deck is so fiery, so active. It reads so well, and it's just going to be a perfect summer deck. And the French titles don't bother me at all. In fact, I was thinking I wanted the English edition, but as I kind of was looking for them, the French one was up for sale for a really reasonable price on one of the Facebook groups. And I thought, yeah, no, French doesn't bother me, I'll go for it. And it's been funny because I kind of completely forgot that it had French titles until I was going to do this video, and I thought about, oh well, why does it work? Like, is there any reason that it works better? It just seems really natural. It just goes with the cards, Lenormand or L'Empereur or whatever. And I went, it works, or Le Soleil. It works because I realized this is the deck's first language. In a funny way. I don't know if you think about your decks like this, but the artist Francois Tapenot, when he was painting these oil paintings, he wasn't thinking about as the cards as the Queen of Swords. He was thinking Reine d'Épée. I probably butchered that completely, but you get the idea. So when I feel like this deck has just been speaking its first language to me the whole time. Okay, so next question, your least expensive deck. Now, this deck, I bought it from Savers. I bought it because I was so excited to see it at Savers, and to see, a tarot deck there. And I'm gonna try to bring it over because it is kind of unwieldy. It's so small. It is the Tiny Tarot Universal Waite Edition in the keychain. There we go. I haven't used it. I bought it. I brought it home. I'll try to flip through some of the cards. It's going to be painful for everyone to watch. It is really tiny, and it would have been so cheap. It would have been $1, $5, something like that from from one of those grab bags that they have at Savers. I don't know if you have these store chain in America. It's kind of like a secondhand store. It's not an op shop. It's not for charity, but it is fun to go there sometimes because I do have one near me. I'm not going to try to flip through so many. I hope that they're showing up on camera, but you get the idea. I just, come on, don't fall down. It's very unwieldy. Okay, so the next question. The deck other collectors want to steal from your collection. This is a mean one. This is a mean question, Brant. Like, God, no one, please don't steal this deck from me. Please don't find me. Please don't stalk me. This deck's not for sale. It is not for sale. I hope I'm not going to upset anyone. Okay, so warning, out of print, hard to find deck. You know, I understand if you don't want to see it, don't click away. I understand. Have a good day. It's okay. But for those who do, it is the Delta Enduring by Egan. As you can see, my copy, it did come to me pre-loved. I baby my decks. I take good care of them. They don't, you know, I would not do this to them, but this deck came to me pre-loved, and that was kind of part of the deal. And it is, you know, a beautiful deck, and you know, it's not pristine. It's got some dents, some scratches, some life experience. In fact, I'll just put that on the bottom. My deck's actually in order because I was looking at it the other day to see if there was any progression kind of in the majors or through the suits, and I wasn't really seeing too much of one. A little bit, but not too much. The card backs are gorgeous. Yeah. And this is a powerful deck. It's a beautiful deck. I mean, it's something that I still have a lot of work to do with it. I would really love, if you're watching this and you have this deck and you have the guidebook or the PDF guidebook, if there's any way you could share that with me, I'll pop my email down below, because I unfortunately, you know, I did buy this secondhand, and it didn't have its guidebook, and I'd love to know what Egan has to say about this deck, but you know, unfortunately she's not really active anymore in the tarot community. So if you have that and you'd be willing to share that with me, I'd be so grateful. This is such a powerful deck. Obviously it speaks to a time and place in, you know, America, in the Deep South, in the Delta, but it does work with the Australian summer. Like it speaks, you know, a lot to me on that level, and really reminds me of, especially in our tropics, kind of this emotion of going there and being in that place. And there's so many stories in the cards that I identify with, even though I'm not American. I think that just speaks to the power of this deck and its kind of universal storytelling, and why so many people are drawn to it. Harm reduction is a card that's been changed from temperance, and that's a really powerful one. The devil, you know, such a topical issue with Black Lives Matter, and of course we have the same issues here in Australia. Black Lives Matter, you know, is something that has to be addressed here as well and fought for here. The levy instead of the levy instead of the tower. The star. Some of these cards are quite dark. I'm hoping you'll be able to pick up that detail. I actually like the dark cards. The sun. Now this really kind of made me feel like, yes, this copy of the deck, I don't mind its dents and scratches at all. I don't know if you can tell, but this star card, a sun card, sorry, is actually bent in half. Right there, it's bent in half. And I love that, you know, I love that this deck's been through some shit, and it's, you know, it shows. And, you know, the fact that it's the sun card means so much to me, because, you know, the sun in my life has been a little bit dented and a little bit malformed too, and hasn't always come in the way that I'd expected, but you just keep, even when things do go a little bit wrong, you just keep riding on. You just keep having the hope. And that's the beauty of this deck. I feel like that card just the fact that it's that card that's probably the most damaged, you know, is my it just pleases me so much. But otherwise the deck's great. Like there's nothing else wrong with the deck or anything like that. It's just got a little bit of wear and tear, but yeah, that makes me happy. That makes me feel like I can use it and not feel you know, too distressed by it. And I think we're now, these are actually these are the extra cards. Termite Swarm. Oh, doesn't that give you the heebie-jeebies? I can't with that, honestly. Mardi Gras, it's so beautiful, so much life, so much celebration. Love that. Hurricane, Eye of the Storm. Wow, pretty scary. The Heat. Oh boy, we are approaching summer here in Australia, and this card is so fucking real, trust me. Oh boy. And then we're going into the minors, but I'll probably leave it there. So that is the Delta Enduring by Egan. Next deck, your strangest deck. Okay, so this is new to me. This is one of my newest decks. It came in a parcel from America, and it is the Wooden Tarot. And this deck is weird. It's weird as fuck. Like, it really is. And I kind of only got it because I do like to get secondhand decks, and if they're, you know, a little bit more affordable. This one actually had to do a little bit of Restoration Australia on this. Fix up, that's a TV show where they fix up houses. Anyway, I had to fix up, there was some staining on the star card and on the Knight of Blooms, but I kind of was able to lift that off, and I can barely even see where it was, or I only know because I did it myself. So this deck otherwise was in super good nick, and it came again secondhand. And oh, the backs, look at the backs. But it's cool, but cool. And this deck is super strange. You know, you have a third eye right there. Forgive the tremor in my hands, guys. It is what it is. You know, I do have chronic illness. That's life. As long as you can use your hands and shuffle cards, hey, you know, that's what happens. But yeah, doesn't stop me. But yeah, look, going back to the strangeness of this deck, there's a lot of weird things going on. I don't even know if I, you know, love the deck or anything. I think I just got it because, you know, I knew it was super cool, and there are eyeballs in there, lots of eyeballs. But this deck I think will read really well, and I do think the art is stunning. Like, it's just weird, but I do like weird. But this deck has something maybe so weird it makes me feel uneasy. I don't know. It's just something about it. That's a beautiful card. Staghorn Beetle. I think Stag Beetle, sorry. The Lovers. Oh, that and I don't know, something creepy. It's just creepy. Just really creepy. Can't wait to dive into it more. Wow. Yep, powerful, but definitely strange. Definitely strange. I think it counts. I think it totally counts. Okay. The deck other collectors are least likely to have in their collection. I had to really think about this, and because I wasn't sure, and I think it might be this one. And only because it is a Lenormand, which is less popular than, comes with a little card. It's super nice for the artist. And this is one of the 3 decks that I got from America secondhand, but this one is like pristine and untouched, and obviously wasn't really used. And this deck is super pretty. I hope the detail's picking up. I'm gonna try to bring the camera down. Will I? I don't know. No, I won't. I won't. Just in case the whole thing goes bananas. But yeah, I have not got any experience with reading Lenormand. This is my first Lenormand deck. I don't know if I would have bought this new just because I'm not a fan of the pink. I like it on the card fronts. I think the border, the thin border, and the playing card association in the pink looks really good. But this design on the back, it's just my personal preference. It's very active. This will be like an awesome deck, you know, to use. But yeah, I'm just not a super fan, but the artwork on the front of the cards is beautiful, and I do like the black borders. So definitely, you know, if you're drawn to this is pretty cool. Who's this deck by? I think I've been forgetting to say who the decks are by. Rabbit's illustration. Hopefully the artist has an Etsy shop or something. Yeah, I need to learn how to read Lenormand. This is something that I will definitely come back to, you know, when I just have a bit more time. Right now I'm working with the Golden Rider because it is, you know, moving into summer here in Australia. It doesn't feel like it today, but we're starting to get those hotter days, and the Golden Rider has just got that perfect active energy, and it's been so on point. So when I get around to it, I will be digging into this new deck and giving it the time it deserves. But yeah, really beautiful, and not something that I've seen much on social media. But if you have the deck and you like it and you have any good resources on learning Lenormand, let me know, because I'd love to definitely you know, learn how to use it properly. And apparently the small size is good for something called the Grand Tableau. Not that I know what that is yet, but I'm sure I will. Okay, next question. Your oldest deck, or the deck you've had the longest? Well, the oldest one is probably the Golden Rider, which I think was made in the 90s, even though it looks like the 70s. But the deck I've had the longest, which would be my first deck, is, I'm keeping it in this cloth for now because I need to make a bag for it. And I've been waiting a long time to make a bag for it, but I never seem to be happy with any of the colors and things that I have. And anyway, my first deck, the Marielle. Beautiful, beautiful deck. I love those card backs. I love the two lemniscates, and this deck, you know, I've dreamed about it. I've worked with it for a long time. It was my only deck for about a year. Yeah, and you know, when I first got this deck, I wasn't sure if I wanted, you know, to get this one or to get the Wild Unknown or something else, because, you know, the artwork isn't my usual aesthetic, but it is beautiful. It's stunning, and it speaks so much to me. And I wanted a deck that I felt like was going to be a serious deck, that was going to be full of mysticism and symbolism, and, you know, that I was going to take so much out of. And this deck is exactly that. You know, a lot of people will tell you, don't get this deck, it's not a good beginner deck, and you know, they're not wrong. But if you love a deck, and if you're, you know, just prepared to put in a little bit more work and take it slow, you'll learn. Of course you will. So I'd say, you know, your first deck should just be whatever you like. Yeah, a beautiful, beautiful deck. And it is still available. It's just in a borderless edition, which, you know, is lovely too. So that is the Marielle. The next question is your newest deck. So my newest deck, the newest decks are the Wooden Tarot, all got from the same seller at the same time. The Wooden Tarot, the Enchanted Woods, Lenormand, and also the third one, which I'm just keeping in this little black pouch because it came without a box, is the Earthbound Oracle. And out of these three, like, this was the one that I kind of wanted the most, although the other two are beautiful and I will get so much working from them, but this is the one that I felt was, I don't know, the kind of the most interesting, the most compatible with my other decks, you know, one that will look great in deck combos and the like. Simple images, but very pleasing, and I feel like, you know, the seller that I got it from loved this deck the most too when she was using it, because you can tell that it's just a little bit more handled and everything, which is fine. And yeah, and it was really great. So getting 3 at once kind of also saved me a little bit on shipping. And the artwork is stunning. You know, it is. He's obviously put a lot of time and care into it. The artist is Andrew Liam Schwartz of skullgarden.net. And he's the artist for the Wooden Tarot as well. I think this one and the Wooden Tarot are definitely going to be in my autumn, or as you might say, fall deck edit, because the tones really speak to autumn. So it's probably not one I'm going to dive into just yet, but I will be soon. Sleep, going to that hibernation. Beautiful. Yeah, definitely a wonderful oracle, and I use tarot and oracle pretty interchangeably. I don't see them as too different from each other at all, and I see, you know, just tarot as having a system, but because I read intuitively, you know, I kind of play fast and loose with that system a little bit, and I don't have any problems with that. So for me, oracles are kind of just as much fun, and I get just as much out of them, and I use them in spreads too. Okay, number 8, the deck that made you want to collect decks in the first place. And that is the good old beautiful Wild Unknown. This is the first edition. So I did have my eye on this deck 5 or so years ago. Beautiful. And I love, you know, the presentation of it. I love these card backs. I didn't get this deck at first because I thought that it wasn't serious, that it was a hipster deck, that it was, I don't know, something like the art, some of the art had been used as in marketing for an indie band or whatever, a small band. And I thought this was very, very early on, or I think the name, the Wild Unknown, even, not sure if it was the whole deck, and that put me off a little bit. I kind of, a lot of people were very critical of this deck at the time, still are. It does have its critics, and you know, I did question, but then you know, when I saw, after working with the Marielle for so long, and still loving the art of this deck, this is very much my aesthetic. This is very much, you know, the sort of art that I am drawn to. After working with the Marielle so long, she brought out the second edition, and the second edition didn't have these card backs. It had the card backs of kind of similar to the animal spirit, and I couldn't, I just didn't connect to those new card backs, and to me card backs are very important. So I found, still in a shop in Australia, a copy of the first edition, and I've loved it ever since. And then the reason why this is the deck that made me want to collect is 'cause obviously being my second deck, my first indie deck, you know, it was just so impressive, the quality of the cardstock, and the printing and everything, the packaging. It was just such a beautiful deck that, you know, after getting this, I had to get the Animal Spirit Oracle. And then that kind of is what began it. So because of this deck, that's how I started collecting. But, you know, I do see my collection as just more a curated kind of collection, a curated library of working decks. I do try to only collect decks that I know I'll work with, and that's why I have been pretty happy with my collection, and haven't come across, you know, too many regrets, and certainly nothing. And regret is not really the right word either. You know, as you grow with tarot, as you find new decks, you'll learn what works and what doesn't work for you, and you know, that's just part of the process, and then you move it on to someone else. Many of the decks I've shown you have been secondhand, and that's wonderful, you know, moving it on to someone who'll bring it joy. So there shouldn't be any regret as such. Just, you know, you learn what works for you and what doesn't. But you know, I tend to think about my decks a long time before getting them. In this case, you know, pretty much a year, and that works. And that kind of leads me to the last question: your favorite deck from your collection. And honestly, I don't think I can pick a favorite, but this is the deck that, you know, kind of speaks to me really well. Is it my favorite? I don't know. But this is the deck that I've dreamed about, that I've, you know, kind of maybe worked with the most intensely over the years. And the night before my birthday, I had a dream. It was a pretty powerful, vivid dream. A lot of things happened, but one of the things that happened was that a hurricane, a violent storm whipped up, and an older woman, a guide, told me that I could only pick one deck to take with me to safety. The other decks would have been probably destroyed. And in the dream, I picked this deck from the shelf. So at least on some level, I know that I need this deck, or I know that I couldn't ever leave this deck. I feel that way about a lot of my decks, but I think deep down on that subconscious level, this is that soul deck. Although, you know, in broad daylight, looking at my other decks, I'm like, oh, really? But are you sure? Are you really sure? Like, I don't know if I could really commit, but I know subconsciously that I could. And yeah, I think it's just, it speaks so much, and it speaks to a lot of people. So if you have any of these decks and you love them or you hate them, let me know in the comments. Let me know if there are any of these decks that you know, have your eye on, that you're, you know, looking at getting for yourself, or what your kind of favorite decks are. I'll be really interested to see. I've been watching a bunch of videos, and if you're like me and you've never started a YouTube channel and you just want to kind of join the conversation, please do, because hey, if I can do it with my shaky hands, you can too, you know, like there's no barriers here. So yeah, I'd really just love to see kind of everyone's vids, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.